welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up in this morning's show, you're going to meet an extraordinary woman who's been teaching longer than most of us have been alive. Mayrose Chaisson has spent 61 years in the classroom, and she's still going strong. How this great-grandmother keeps love, learning, energy, and excitement alive in the classroom. Plus, conquering your fears. This woman is ready to tackle hers, and by doing so, it could just save her life. And getting jazzy with brunch. We'll show you how to make Avery Island Boudin Benedict with the chefs at La Creole. But first, school's out, kids are soaking in the summer fun, and teachers are already preparing for the school year ahead. One teacher in Lafourche Parish is getting ready for her 62nd school year. It's a record setter and an extraordinary accomplishment. So I just had to go down to La Rose to meet her. And I was planning on spending about an hour down there with her. Well, that turned into 5 hours. And really, it still wasn't long enough. I wish I'd had more time with her. The joy here on Weekends with Whitney for me is to get to share people like her with you. My challenge is weaving her essence into a 6-minute television story. But here's my best shot at it.
To me, this is my success. Because I can reach each individual child with their specific needs.
Mayrose Chaisson has more than 60 years of teaching experience in these boxes. But it's not what's in here that makes her exceptional, it's what's in her heart.
Teaching is not just teaching. You're teaching the children, you're teaching them for the future. But with me, I try to teach them to save their little souls. And it's challenging, but the thing is, my reward is seeing them in later life and seeing what they have become.
They've become doctors, lawyers, priests, and now grandparents. 6 decades of teaching will do that.
I see grandparents telling me, hey, you taught me, and they tells me something about what I did in that year and how happy he was.
Her happiness is infectious. She puts a smile on everyone's face at Holy Rosary Catholic School. The principal, Mr. B, calls her exceptional.
I've never seen anyone as committed and as loving in her job.
Mayrose never intended to be a teacher. She was headed to Baton Rouge to be a tiger. Then came a knock at the door.
Calvin Bartolo came to the house and he says, I want to see Mayrose. And I said, Daddy says, why? He says, because I want to ask her a question. So he came in the house and he says, I want you to teach 2nd grade in Galliana. I said, no way, shape, or form. I said, because I'm packed, I'm going to LSU and I'm going for business. He says, He says, no, you're not. I said, why? He says, because we need you in 2nd grade at Galliana Elementary, and we need you like tomorrow. And I said, I said that there's no way, shape, or form I'm gonna become a teacher.
But the next day, she agreed to become that teacher, in part to help the children and her parents financially.
It was a hardship for them to send me, but they were gonna send me.
Without even 1 day of college or teaching experience, Mayrose went to work.
I walked in the following day and I looked at all those angels sitting in the chairs, and they had smiles, but my knees were shaking. And I did what I had to do. Common sense told me what to do.
For the next 10 years, she went to college at night, earning her BA and her master's in education. She taught public school for 28 years and retired in 1980. But then came another knock at the door.
And Sister Claire came to see me, and she says, we need a 2nd grade teacher, and you've got to come. I want you. I said, sis, I just retired to be home with my wife, my husband, and my daughter. I said, no, I'm not going. That's it. I'm not going. Then my husband says, you know what? It's a shame. Help sister. Help her. And then you can give her 2 weeks, and she's going to find someone. And once I put my foot in the door, I've been here ever since 1980.
She's a gifted teacher, even though early on she struggled in school. That's because her family only spoke French. She thanks God for her kind English-speaking neighbor.
And I'd sit on the porch and I'd do my work. And she'd get off of her rocker and she'd come sit and then she would help me. And she is an angel in disguise. God sent her to me.
God's always been the cornerstone of May Rose's life, a life rich in Cajun culture, language, and tradition.
Et bénie Sainte Marie, Mère de Dieu, priez pour nous entre tous les pécheurs, maintenant et vraiment, ainsi soit-il, notre Père, et Fils, et Saint-Esprit, ainsi soit-il. I had a happy, average Cajun life that any little girl could want.
Her mother was a talented seamstress.
And my dresses, darling, were the sacks of the
Rice?
the rice, no, the flour or the cow feed, the chicken corn, whatever. And Mom would make my dress, and I'm at school, I'd put it on, it was perfect. She didn't even have to undo it. That lady could sew.
Her dad was a shoemaker by trade, but he's famous for his decoys. Xavier Berg used his shoemaking tools to meticulously carve thousands of award-winning decoys. May Rose helped harvest the wood with him.
We'd go into swamps, cut down the cypress knee, and with my little boots and snakes running all around, I knew what to do if he got bit, and he knew what to do if I got bit. So I'd carry the cypress knee and I'd put it in near the trunk of the car, and I'd go back and get some. And then we'd go home and boil them and take the bark off, and we'd put it down and let the sun dry it and get all the humidity and everything out. And when they were soft enough, he would carve, take that little knife of his, and I can just see him going.
May Rose was a bit of a tomboy, although she and her husband Chester were never able to have a boy of their own. She miscarried 5 times, all boys. But she was able to have a little girl, their daughter Kathleen. But in her classrooms, she's had more boys than she ever dreamed of.
I'm so lucky that God has given me this opportunity and has given me so many sons that I really needed, because that was my breakdown. And I just wanted a baby.
She's mothered and taught more than 1,500 children in her career. She's been teaching longer than her principal has been alive.
You know, in all my life, I've never seen anyone like her.
What makes her so successful in the classroom?
Love. She loves to live and loves to love.
She even loves her kids to make mistakes.
It all depends on your attitude. Oh, look what you did. You did a good job. You got it wrong. Wonderful. First time I said it, they looked at me as if to say, "You're crazy? Why is this wonderful? It's wrong." I said, "Because now I know what you don't know, and I can help you with that problem. That's why it's good."
In 61 years of teaching, May Rose says she's seen education standards change, but it's really more marketing than anything.
What I'm teaching in Common Core and reading is basically the same thing I've been doing all along. But it's like a merry-go-round. It's going round and round, and we keep going, and they keep changing the names.
She says enough with politicians using education for their own political gain.
Let us teach. Get out of the education department. You don't belong there. Your job is to legislate. Do what you have to do and protect your people. Make sure we have everything we need and leave us alone.
May Rose says that would be a great gift. But the best gift she ever received from a student was from a little boy at Christmas who knew she loved and took care of all of God's creatures.
He gave me a matchbox. I said, "Ooh," I said, "that looks like I'll be able to light the fire." I said, "You want to get some more?" I said, "Well, let me open it." You would never imagine what they had in there. A little dead mouse. And I said, "Oh, he's so cute. He's just been born." He says, "Yep. And I knew you were going to take care of him like Mary's going to take care of a baby Jesus."
May Rose wants to teach one more year. With her energy, spirit, and enthusiasm, she's proof age is just a number.
You know, Mama said, it doesn't matter how old you are. as long as you are young, you're young all the time.
Oh.
So feel young. I'm thankful that he has given me all this energy that I have, especially to keep up with my little ones and keep up with my little great-grandchildren. And all I can do every day is wake up and say, thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day. I'm yours.
Or the most important thing you think you've learned?
The one upstairs. Because he has been the highlight of my life. He has been with me in bad times, sad times, happy times, you name it. And with his help, I can do anything I want. Without him, I'm nothing. But with him, watch me.
The influence of a good teacher can never be erased. Well, coming up, as Weekends with Whitney continues, half of us are afraid of the water. But conquering that fear can be life-saving. We'll show you new tools to do it just in time for hurricane season. Plus, a savory brunch recipe, Avery Island Boudin Benedict. Two great chefs show us how to do it as Weekends with Whitney continues.
Maggio, the only way to go. Maggio Buick GMC, your satisfaction's our specialty. We really deliver on Falls River, here in New Roads. Small town atmosphere, legendary service for over 60 years. Maggio, the only way to go. The only way to go, that's Maggio.
This segment brought to you by our friends at Wayne Stabler Companies. Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. Well, most of us fear something. For half of Americans, it's the deep end of a swimming pool. It's not an unrealistic fear either. 10 people drown every day. In Hurricane Katrina, more than 1,000 people drowned. If they'd just known how to swim, they might be here today. We never know when or where water will trap us. Flash flooding in Houston led to the recent drowning deaths of unsuspecting motorists. 54-year-old Elizabeth Woods desperately wants to learn how to swim. It is on her bucket list. So she asked if I could help her. And in doing so, I'm hoping that I can help some of you or your loved ones. But the first step is not getting into a swimming pool. It's dealing with the emotional issues behind it first. So we leaned on Dr. Nick to get Elizabeth started.
Thank you, Whitney. Morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Dr. Nick.
As Whitney so well said with her statistics, swimming and the fear of water, aquaphobia, it's even in the diagnostic statistical manual as an anxiety disorder. I don't like diagnosis because it makes you feel like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with you, but we do know you've said you've got a swimming problem, you're afraid of water. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, it started in childhood. I had a traumatic experience starting with simple play, pillow fighting. And that feeling when the kids would all jump on you and put the pillow over your face, that smothering feeling. And that's kind of how I associate with going under the water. That smothering feeling comes back.
So the fear is going under the water?
Under the water and holding your breath.
And holding your breath.
So...
That you're going to drown or somehow, yes. As you say, smother?
Oh, yeah, yes. I had a dream one summer about drowning, which kept me out of the water while all my friends were going to swim for the whole summer. And then finally the next summer I was able to conquer that fear until a big 250-pound friend said, "Oh, you haven't got your hair wet yet?" And I started trying to run through the water to get away from him, and he managed to catch my ankle, and I did 3.5 revolutions under the water before I came up. And I was so traumatized, I came up swinging. I wanted to fight him, and then when he realized and seen the panic and fear in my face, you know, he apologized.
I'm
and
sure
said,
he was devastated.
Yeah, and said, "Oh,
no
sorry,
one
don't
has
tell."
the intention
Right.
of hurting. That happened to me when I was young, so I can really appreciate that. And even as you say it, when we were talking earlier before the show, didn't you say that you have flashbacks
Yes.
of that incident? The twirling
Twirling and not being able to catch my breath.
of not being able to catch your breath. So there's some regression.
Yes.
That really was traumatizing in the sense of trauma being wounded,
Right.
stuck almost.
Yes,
It
and
keeps
it's-
coming back that it could happen.
Yes, and it's kept me from wanting to learn how to swim because first I have to conquer my aquaphobia.
Okay, what is the goal?
The goal is for me to be able to swim freely, to enjoy swimming. My son swims perfectly. It would be nice to go out with his friends and learn how to swim. Also, there are some, you know, physical aspects and,
Health.
you know, and some health aspects to, you know, being more physically fit. So, and swimming is a great exercise.
So we want to think of the deep end.
Yes.
And again, we want to think of being able to go underwater, not just swimming above water. You
Right.
want to be able to go
underwater and
Okay.
comfortable being underwater.
Okay. Let's talk for just a second about some goals then. We have the long-term goal,
Yes.
meaning that I want to swim. See, what's interesting about aquaphobia is it's almost like bicycling. You can learn how to bike, and you can be afraid of it, but I could tell you can. All right, we're going to look at getting you a swimming instructor, hopefully, okay? So what I would like to suggest that you start doing in your goal orientation is, if possible, when you're in the tub, I know, you know, you said it may not be a lot of room. The whole idea is just to get your head under.
Just submerge.
Just for a few seconds. Okay. But before you do it, and I'm going to teach you after the show some breathing techniques to kind of calm you down, okay? Some mind settling so that the panic doesn't take over, because we need for you to start going underwater. If you can, come over here to Whitney's. She's got a pool in the shallow end where you're safe, and because safety is going to be an issue.
Yes.
Tell the audience why that's an issue.
Well, because I panic as soon as I go underwater. So
Yes.
that's the big thing. The mouth comes open.
But remember, you're also afraid, even though you don't know it, that somebody could come and hurt you.
Yeah.
Right? Don't
Yeah.
you have that feeling
Yeah.
that it kind of looking over the shoulder a little bit? Even though you might know
That-
yeah, so
that's-
we need to make sure that you're safe. We need to demystify the water. Demystify meaning take away its power. It's got a power over you,
Yes.
which is why it would be so nice to say it's just water. Huh? I want to. I would like for you to look at pictures of fish in Hawaii and look at how beautiful God's creation is under the water. I would like for you to have an appreciation for water. Could you do that for me
Yes.
this week? Is start developing, oh my Lord, I never saw the wonders. And one of these days I might even like to do that. So we want to get you kind of to demystify the water. Breathing exercises, slowly start submerging. And we're going to talk to that swimming instructor to make sure that that swimming instructor tells you that it's all right to be afraid.
Okay. Okay, sounds like a
Do
plan.
you have fear? Are you fearful?
Yes.
Yes.
I will get in a body of water. I've done it before, but going under the water has always been something that I avoided.
Okay. Very quickly, tell me about the hair, because I'm talking with an African American. That is an issue.
Yes, it was an issue as a child because we had a straightening process, which my mother would start on Friday with the washing of the hair. The hair naturally dried. And then the next day, my mother straightened my hair with a hot comb. And that used to be the way African Americans straightened their hair. They put a comb on the stove, use the heat to press out the curl. Well, as soon as you go in the water, it reverts back to the natural curl.
Very interesting. Cultural.
Yes.
So are you going to want to put something over your head? Is that going to make you feel better as well?
Well,
or
now,
does that matter?
Dr. Nick, now they have all these wonderful chemicals. It's called a straightening perm, which I have in my hair, so I have closer to wash and wear hair now.
Great! Great! So this is perfect timing.
Yes, perfect
You don't
timing.
have to worry about your beauty.
No.
You're going to maintain your beauty.
Yes, indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I'm with Elizabeth Woods. We're going to hopefully be back to talk about that because, again, many of you probably don't swim or are afraid of the water. She's going to be our mentor. Good to be with you, Elizabeth.
Thank you,
Back
Dr.
to you,
Nick.
Whitney.
Next week right here, Elizabeth is going to get into the water with a professional to move on to the next step of conquering her aquaphobia. But coming up here next, a mouth-watering dish for your next brunch, Avery Island Boudin Benedict. as Weekends with Whitney continues. Discover your art of living at Dixon Smith Interiors. With 10,000 square feet of inspired interiors, it's easy to bring beauty home. Create a unique interior that reflects your exterior. Translate what you love into where you live. For 60 years, Dixon Smith has refined the art of style, space, and comfort. You're a work of art. Your home should be too. Embrace your art of living at Dixon Smith Interiors in the heart of Baton Rouge. Discover Dixon.
Give the gift of fine dining. Wayne Stabler Companies is offering 1 card for 4. Le Creole, The Little Village, Stab Steak and Seafood. 4 sizzling restaurants, 1 card.
Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees.
Welcome to La Creole Jazz Brunch. Come on in.
I just had the most delicious brunch item, Avery Island Boudin Benedict, and I'm not leaving here until they show me how to do it. So Caleb and Damien have invited us into the kitchen to show us how it's done. Great to see you both.
Hello.
I love the uniqueness of that dish. I love that I can't get that anywhere else. I've never had anything quite like it. So bravo. Can you show me how you do it?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay.
We get our boudin and we just make some little boudin cakes out of it. And we're pretty much just gonna sear it off and get it hot. We're gonna poach 2 eggs in some crawfish boil water, some fresh wilted spinach, and we do a house-made Creole holiday sauce. And it's also served with some country crab ball potatoes. So I'm just gonna sear these boudin cakes off.
Now what kind of oil do you use for that?
We just use canola oil. The boudin is gonna cook for about a minute on each side.
Okay.
Flip it, cook it about another minute and a half, just enough to heat it up.
So if I'm at home and I just have like the regular links of boudin, I'm just gonna take the skin off that and then just do enough to make a patty.
Exactly.
Okay. See what you pull these out with, because when I try to do poached eggs at my house, it doesn't end well.
We need a spoon. All right, so we have our poached eggs, and just take a slotted spoon and just really gently take the eggs out. You want to drain some of that water. That's why you use the slotted spoon.
Sure. Beautiful. Now, if you put vinegar in there, what kind of vinegar? Does it matter?
Just white distilled vinegar.
Okay. No, nothing fancy.
And that just keeps the eggs from sticking, and it helps them stay together.
Yes. Instead of being all over the place.
Yes,
like mine egg will be like.
What I do is I'll make a little indention. That way the poached egg will sit in there, and it'll not want to fall off when the server's carrying it to the guest table.
Perfect.
And then we'll poached egg sit on top, a little wilted spinach in between our boudin cakes, a little spoonful of creamy holiday sauce on each cake. Microgreens. There you have it.
Oh, perfect. You know, I just had this at brunch, so I'm not going to put a fork in this one because I'm going to give it to one of you. You've been working so hard in here, right, Damien, Caleb? You want to each have one? Enjoy?
Sure.
Okay, don't answer that. I might get you in trouble. But it is so delicious and so rich. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, much more Weekends with Whitney coming up right after this.
Watch out.
Thanks for spending part of your Sunday here with me on Weekends with Whitney. I want to tell you about a unique event coming up this Saturday in St. Francisville. The Day the War Stopped. It's an incredible reenactment of peace and civility that happened in the midst of one of the bloodiest months of our Civil War. It starts Saturday at 2, but there are events Friday, Saturday, and Sunday surrounding it. I hope to see you there. Just Google The Day the War Stopped for more information. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday with us here on Weekends with Whitney. Hope to see you back here again next Sunday. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But this morning, we leave you with some serenity along the LSU lakes. Enjoy. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Discover your art of living at Dixon Smith Interiors. With 10,000 square feet of inspired interiors, it's easy to bring beauty home. Create a unique interior that reflects your exterior. Translate what you love into where you live. For 60 years, Dixon Smith has refined the art of style, space, and comfort. You're a work of art. Your home should be too. Embrace your art of living at Dixon Smith Interiors in the heart of Baton Rouge. Discover Dixon.